the green light. So it is now my pleasure to bring in our next streamer, Holly Nielsen. Holly should be joining us here in a sec. Holly is a historian, a writer, a narrative designer. And as usual with our guests, that description doesn't quite do her justice. Holly has been published in outlets ranging from Vice to The Guardian to Rock, Paper, Shotgun to The Telegraph. She's given talks at the V&A, the British Museum, the University of Cambridge. She does historical consulting, teaches games and play as public history, and I understand is currently finishing her dissertation right now. I offered you the chance to defer, and you were like, no, let's go, which is the most kind of feral finishing a dissertation energy someone could have. I understand the dissertation.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so I am just over a week away from handing in my dissertation. So I've got like the pure, as you say, feral energy of someone just sinking into madness. So yeah, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it'll inspire people to see to see an academic on the edge, because isn't that what we're all going through?
That's right.
Yeah.
What's the title of your dissertation?
It is British Board Games and Ludic Lives, circa 1860 to 1939. Nice to catch you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, really rolls off the tongue.
All right. One week out from defending. I mean, that means it's done, right? There's nothing else you're not like still writing it right now, right?
So I am. So I'm a week away from hand in.
Oh shit. Okay. That's different.
But I'm pretty much almost done with my edits. I'm pretty much almost done. I keep expecting there to be a big thing like, but wait, Holly, you haven't footnoted a single thing. And I'm like, okay, no, I'm pretty sure I've gone through the checklist and I'm okay. But yeah.
Incredible. Good luck to you. I'm sure you're going to smash it. Also, Holly, you have a friend with you. You are bringing someone in live IRL. Can you please give us an introduction to your pal?
This is the wonderful Shay Thompson, who is a game critic, a host, and everything.
And I just kind of wandered in. I was like, that looks fun. There's a live stream set up. I want parts of that, actually.
Yeah, if you do a live stream setup and you say Shay's name 3 times, she'll appear.
Oh my God, beautiful. I'm going to get out of your hair in a second, but I just wanted to rep that for your hour, the hourly raffle. So we're giving away kind of a free, either a book or something from a streamer every hour for any $20 up donation. And for your hour, we are giving away Playing Place, Board Games, Popular Culture, and Space, which you have an essay in. That was the real appeal of this. What is that essay about?
The essay is about board games depicting the British Empire that were published during the interwar period in Britain. Ooh. So you want to know about depictions of trade and about how the board game industry mimics the work of the Empire Marketing Board in the 1920s? There it is.
Hey.
Yeah.
Incredible. We get the question a lot because of our name, ROMchip. People are like, is it just digital game history? And so we always like to take an opportunity to say, absolutely not. We do analog games, board games, and there's actually tons of stuff relevant to this that we're publishing. This is a really exciting one. Holly, I want to get out of your hair because my understanding is Dragon Age is there's a lot to it.
Yeah, it's a light and breezy one. Definitely haven't picked a game that I realize is about 30 minutes of cutscenes. But so there might be a little bit of talking over things, but hopefully people don't mind that. But yeah.
I think that's what everyone's here for. So thank you so much. And I'm just going to let you get into it. I'll be back at the top of the hour.
Brilliant. Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you.
Okay. So we're here to play Dragon Age Origins. I'm a huge Dragon Age dork, although I haven't played the latest one, so no spoilers, because I'm not playing any new games until my dissertation is done.
Very responsible.
I am so responsible. It's really responsible doing a stream like this a week before you hand in your dissertation.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I discovered fairly early on in our friendship that you're also
huge Dragon Age nerd, to the point where it's not kind of, it's not funny, it's a bit worrying. Like I own it on every possible console platform that it's available on.
And you discover the thing that I did, which this game is pretty much a different game on PC. It is baffling.
Horrible. Sorry to all the PC fans out there, but I booted it up on Steam. I was like, what the heck is this?
I would like to point out, because we had to restart the game because of technical stuff, that the game adorably tries to connect to the Dragon Age Origins servers before it lets you proceed.
Like, oh, how cute.
Which I love. I love the idea that there's a really dusty Xbox 360 somewhere in Seattle or something, just like desperately trying to boot up. That's how it works, right?
Yeah, that's technology.
See, that's why I look at pre-digital games.
Yes.
Less messy.
Yeah. So
we're playing this. So the brief we were given was to pick a game that's important to us. And so I originally went to Dragon Age Origins because, well, it's the game that, before I even knew that part of the development process involved a narrative designer and a writer, it was the game that made me want to do that before I even knew that was a thing.
Oh.
So I was like the perfect age when I played this. I think I must have been like, I don't know, 15 or something. Yeah, I think I was probably about 15. So you're like right at that prime age to become obsessed with something. And I remember playing this game, and it was the first game where I had like emotional attachment to the characters, which, first of all, wow. And second of all, I remember I used to sit with my notebook and I used to save before every big conversation. And I used to, I could save so I could reload, and I would go down and I would write the dialogue trees out.
Wow.
Because I was just so interested to know about, like, wait, so how does this work? And if I go that way, does it do this? So I used to go through and methodically, and in a little notebook, write it all down, which is adorable.
That's so cute. Oh my god. I was just like, oh, that sounds kind of funny. Click.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
So I realized I use the start of this game sometimes. I think Lane mentioned I teach, every now and again, I teach history as world building to game development students. And even though this game is, not the most recent example of this being done, I really like the opening because it does something that I love that I'll get into. But also I realized, again, it's a really long opening. So I'm going to let the opening go to the bit that I find, and then I'll skip past the stuff where it's like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I love all of this religion, world building.
I
do love it.
It's so good.
Oh god, the nostalgia. It looked like I was crying. I wasn't. It's just so choked up.
It is the hubris of men who brought the darkspawn into our world. The mages had sought to usurp heaven, but instead they destroyed it. They were cast out, twisted and cursed by their own corruption. They returned as monsters, the first of the darkspawn. They became a blight upon the lands, unstoppable and relentless. The dwarven kingdoms were the...
Okay, and that's where I'm gonna that's where I'm gonna skip, because it then goes, the dwarven kingdoms were the first to fall. Oh my god, why do I know so much of this off by heart? And it goes on about like, the Grey Wardens, who are the defenders, and they fight against, and they come from all backgrounds, and the setup for the game. Now, the reason I love that opening is some really basic. So it starts with that canticle, right, which is like a prayer. So first of all, immediately you've got a sense of macro history. You've got a dynamic of power of information, and the first thing I think Duncan says there is the Chantry teaches us, or the Chantry tells us. I can't remember the top of my head. And that's just that little thing immediately lets you know, okay, so this Chantry church religion has a huge amount of power over the information that people are getting. The canticle is a named source. Anything that's a named source can be unreliable. I mean, anything can be unreliable, but a named source is easier to subvert as unreliable because it gives it a place to be. It's not, if something doesn't have, if you have all this information and you don't necessarily say where it's from, some people can assume it's kind of developer voice,
Right.
and therefore is infallible because it's developer voice. The developer is telling you the setup for this world,
Right.
but immediately we know it's like, no, the Chantry is telling us this, so therefore it could all be
False.
it could all be wrong.
Oh.
Which is a kind of simple thing, but it's just so
It
good
is good
because it
thing.
immediately sets you up for this power dynamic of information. And that's one of the things I love. I think Dragon Age does history really well, in that it kind of understands that history is a process and it's a created thing, and it's not just this big, it's not just this big book of lore that we refer to every now and again. Otherwise, what would my job be? I'd be defender of the book of lore. No, the whole point of history is it's written by people. It's a product of the people and the society and all of that. And so I think Dragon Age does that really well. And there's all these kind of little interactions between the macro, which are these big histories, the Chantry, the Chant of Light, all these kind of big world building, when dragons came here then, and then they died out, and then there's a war, and all these big things, and how those interact with the micro, which is the kind of communities, how that big information is fed to these communities, why they know certain things, why they don't know certain things, how they understand and interpret things. That's the bit I find really interesting.
I feel smarter already. I really do. I really, really do.
So it makes sense.
Yeah,
it
makes perfect sense.
Okay, because I do feel like I have to warn people again. A week out from handing in my dissertation, my brain is fried.
Well, I kind of want to push you to your even more feral limits, because I want to see how unhinged it can get. Because that was pretty coherent.
Okay, good. I got the coherent bit out and done first, and now we're going to pick, because obviously in Origins you can pick a number of ways to start. My go-to would always be City Elf, because I thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. It's really interesting.
But I discovered
some people are more basic than that.
And Shay, what's your go-to origin?
Okay, so I played Dragon Age Origins at a time in my life where I felt very disempowered. So now that's a trump card, isn't it? I got right. Yeah, it's basic, but I have real reasons behind doing so. And I think I wanted to feel like a sense of control and a sense of power, just kind of messed up. A
lot of video games are essentially a power fantasy, so wanting to just enable that fully, understandable.
Yeah, and that's what I did. That's why I like the Mass Effect series so much.
Yeah, you get to be you are the arbiter of everything that happens in this universe. And so because of that, we're going human noble, because I realized before the City Elf background is pretty dark, and I was like, maybe people don't want that from a stream. So we're going to go the human noble route of Sure. That's it. And I'm just gonna go. Usually, I would spend an upsetting amount of time creating a character. Yeah. I'd spend an hour creating the character, and then I'd go, and the first cutscene, I'd be like, "Well, this is wrong. I have to go."
Because the lighting is never the same.
No.
You're just like, oh.
And then they're like eye color you think is really normal thing, and then they open their eyes, and it's just.
I'm like, why have you got contacts in? Take those out.
Yeah, so we're just going to go straight to quick play, and I'm just going to go casual because that's what I am.
Yeah, I don't come to Dragon Age for the gameplay. I'm not.
Has stewarded the lands of Highever, earning the loyalty of your people with justice and temperance.
This is bringing back memories.
Oh, so many. So many. Like how I would often make my character as close to my complexion as possible. I'd load into the game, and my dad was still white. I was like, oh,
really?
So an adoption situation. I was like, how?
I'm just not going to address this.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, how they're so giving. Just really into giving back to the community. I love that for you guys. Thank you.
Just bring up this head canon of the
I had to do that a lot.
I could have had a lot of head canon going on.
Yeah.
This is entirely.
Oh, this is a.
No. The appearance of the Darkspawn.
Oh god, I always forget. So in the Dragon Age games, and I love them.
I only received
the clothing is wild.
The clothing is a bit crazy.
And I know that's like part of it, like the people of Orlais are really over the top and blah blah, and it's kind of the points and stuff. But
we both had less gray.
It's a taste level thing. I was just like, like, what made you go with these textures specifically?
I think
I'm sorry,
limitations
I
of
didn't see
the
Oh,
Xbox
you
and the
remember my
limitations
daughter.
of what they were.
I see she's become a lovely young woman.
Yeah.
Pleased
Again,
to
let's go with
see
that.
you again, my dear.
Okay, this guy's a creep. What do you mean? She's a lovely young woman.
Yeah. There are
Okay.
other ways to say that. Ew.
Okay, I realized. So the setup is my desk setup that I write from is not designed for video game streaming. So you may see me like ducking around the microphone. Okay, was I brought here for a reason?
Since your brother is
I tend
leaving
to be
our forces
sassy in
south
these
and I'm
games.
going with
Ooh,
the
I'd love
owl,
Yeah.
that.
leaving
I'm
you
a
in
people
charge of the
pleaser, so I'm
castle.
normally quite.
You just want to give, yeah. You know what? I'm just going to say I'll do my
No,
best,
that's
Father,
what I'd
because
like
I
to
just
do.
want to get to the
Only
game,
a token
and that
for
didn't
you
have a
from
question
being
mark
here.
at the end
No,
of it.
it didn't.
I didn't want to invite more
It's what they
conversation.
say about mice when the cat is away. Yes. There's also someone you must meet. Please, show Duncan in.
Oh, Duncan,
Oh, what a guy.
what a man.
It is an honor to be a guest within your hall, Tyrn Cousland.
Your lordship, you didn't mention that a Grey Warden would be present.
Duncan arrived just recently, unannounced. Is there a problem?
Of course not. But a guest of this stature demands certain protocol. I am at a disadvantage.
We rarely have the pleasure of seeing one in person, that's true. Pup,
Do
Brother
you think
Owl
it's
has
like
taught you with the
fantasy
Grey Warden's
RPGs that
armor.
really keep the British voice acting industry?
I
in-
really, they really do.
like this and From Software games.
and like you hear a lot of different accents, especially in those games.
Oh, the representation of Northern people, I'm always on board with.
Yeah, very, very good work.
They are the heroes of
But
legend,
yeah, like
who
I
ended the
suppose
Blights
any
and
like
saved
kind
us
of
all.
British voice
Duncan
actor,
is
whenever
looking
they
for
see a
recruits
casting
before
for a
joining
fantasy,
us
they're
and
like,
it's-
Yeah, here we go. It's my time to
I'm
shine.
paid for the next 12 months. Baby. Let's go.
What are we gonna do? Are we gonna be posh? Are we gonna be like, oh my lord, you know, talk like that, or are we gonna be
Oh, no,
generic
that
Northern
might
of
be.
some
This
kind?
is
Yeah.
my daughter we're talking about.
Okay, so this is my dad. I think I like that idea, Father.
I have not so many children that I'll gladly see them all off to battle. Unless
I
you
absolutely
intend
love
to invoke
in
the right of
games.
Have no fear.
So like
While
the
we need as
characters'
many good
eyebrows
recruits as we can
are
find,
so
I don't
2009.
intend enforcing the
Like that thin, that
Can you
makeup.
ensure that Duncan's
It's
request
Yeah.
are
they're
sent
a real just treasure trove of
in the
Like the
meantime,
time
find
that
Yeah.
they came from. The makeup
tell
thing
him
is
to
always
lead the
really
troops to
interesting to me,
Ostagar
especially
ahead.
in BioWare games, because I'm like, yeah, I know people do walk around with like full faces of glam sometimes,
Upstairs in
myself
his
included.
chambers, no doubt.
But why would I be
Two
wearing a
months
full
known as his
face
wife.
of glam in the midst of
Be a
battle?
good lass and do as I've
What are we
asked.
doing?
We'll talk
especially
soon.
considering how covered in blood you get in this game. Like
Yeah.
comically just absolutely covered. Okay, right. Here we go. Now I am looking for Fergus, I think was the name.
The
Good.
brother, I think.
Okay, yeah, I'm relying on you here because if this was City Elf, I'd know exactly what was going on. This, I'm confused, lost and confused.
Oh, my lady, we were just.
The look of this game is more peculiar than I recommend. Oh, remember? I'm assuming the mix of colors and textures looks almost collage-like in some of those cutscenes. Yeah, man. Like, when I think of games from this era, like I remember them looking a bit rough.
Yes, yeah. I
But-
remember feeling a bit like muddy.
Muddy,
the-
everything
yeah.
was so brown,
Mhm.
and I don't know why. I don't know if it was like a hardware thing.
Appreciate
I
that,
am
my
not
lady.
that,
Thank
you know, I'm not technologically inclined at all. But it was like every game, and this game kind of strikes out as being like especially. I don't want to use the U word. I'm going to use a different U. It's unique.
Unique,
Yeah.
unique, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so who is this person? Sir Gilmore. Okay, hello to you, Sir Gilmore.
Pardon my abruptness, my lady. It's simply that I've been looking everywhere for
The
you.
jaw.
I fear your
Yeah.
hound has the kitchens in uproar once again.
Wait,
and is
do you get
threatening to
it?
leave.
Your hound is at the very beginning in this one.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because
yeah.
in the other Origins, you get him at the Grey Warden camp later.
Oh.
So who was your? Let's be honest.
No matter how
The main
mates
reason
try
to play
keep him
these
out, he
games
always
is
finds a way
romance.
in.
Yeah.
Who was your
He'll listen to
Dragon
his
Age
mistress,
romance?
but
Well,
anyone else
I
risks
would
having an arm
always-
bitten off.
I do my human noble specifically to try and become
That
queen.
would be wise.
And I think
You're quite
My
lucky
first
to have
couple
your
of
own
playthroughs, I
Labari
think I
warhead.
romanced Alistair.
Makes
in order to make
sense.
that
Makes
happen.
sense.
But Zevran was always like my go-to.
Yeah.
Always my go-to. I can't not. Like,
He's just so much personality.
so much personality, and like had me giggling and kicking my feet even back in like
They're just
2009.
like-
I was like, ooh.
Just follow the yelling.
See, I
When
was-
Nan's unhappy, she makes
What would
sure
I do?
everyone knows
I would flirt with everyone for as far as I
Oh
could.
yeah, oh yeah, always,
Always. Like,
always.
if you
put it
get-
in front of me, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, if you get an option to say a flirty bit of dialogue, I'm gonna say it.
And my dear
Um,
this back from Orlais last
But
year.
Alistair was like my
And
first
Alice
love.
gave it to
Oh.
him.
I loved
Aw.
Alistair. And I have to say, like, during this, I remember during this time period, and I kind of struggled with games and particularly the gaming environment around them. Like, I wasn't a lot of the game magazines at the time I really didn't get along with because they could often be quite misogynistic. And other than Official Nintendo Magazine, shout out to Official Nintendo Magazine, I didn't really feel like there was a space for me
Yeah,
in games.
yeah.
And so, but there was something, and I know it's probably wrong to be like, this male character really made me. But it was something about being able to play as a woman, and also the kind of Alistair's deal is that he's more senior than you.
Yeah.
Travel to the moon.
We won't get to him on this in an hour because it's a Bioware game.
Good. With any luck, I'll
But
be able to
he's more
leave my
senior
desk
than you, but
for
he
in the
really
next
doesn't
week.
want to lead.
Yeah.
He
Darling,
doesn't want to
remember
lead.
Lady
He's
Landry.
uncomfortable
I
with
think he laughed
being in a
at
position
your
of
mother's
power.
salon.
He is essentially just looking for family and community.
You're too
And
kind, dear girl.
the fact of
Think I
having
spent
being able to
half
play
the
as a woman
salary
and having a
trying
male
to convince you to
character
marry my son.
who wasn't constantly pushing to take over
Yeah.
and just taking the
You
back
remember
seat and
my
letting
son,
you
darling.
do your
He's
thing,
not married yet.
I
either.
really enjoyed.
Yeah.
That probably says way too much about me.
No. I mean, it's from what I know about you, I'm like,
You're
oh
the
yes,
lady in
that's right.
Are
But now
Do
you
say
have me
something,
thinking
dear.
because I'm like,
It is a
what
great
does it say
pleasure,
about me
Lady.
that at any
You are as
opportunity
free as
I
your mother
always
desires.
harden
You
Alistair?
would think that it would make you
Oh
happy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should probably explain to
More
people.
Oh yeah, what that actually
Yeah,
means.
because that could sound really bad out of context.
Oh yeah.
So basically, there's a
Just
point
get me any
in
more grandchildren.
there's a point in the narrative where I guess spoilers for Dragon Age Origins, but you're watching the stream,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
All evidence to
know,
the contrary.
it gets to a point with
Perhaps I should rest
Alistair,
now,
and
Lady.
you can something happens in
Darling,
his
I will see
story,
when I
and you
am
can
at supper.
either kind of
Perhaps
be
we will
like
retire to the
kind of
study for
soften
now.
the blow and be like, it's okay, I understand, or you can kind of be like,
Evening,
get
your
real, this is
ladyship.
what life
yeah,
is,
kind of pull
essentially.
yourself together, essentially.
Yeah.
The definition of like tough love, basically. But yeah, I always do that because I'm just like, oh,
Oh,
get a grip.
interesting. See, I never did that because if
We'd best get to the kitchens before Nan decides.
oh,
to up
sorry,
and
I
leave,
need
don't
to
you
go to the
think?
kitchens and
You
get
know
my
what your
dog.
mother would say.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
I can't remember what your name is.
It's, Sir Gilmore.
Oh,
Please, we all remember Sir Gilmore.
Yeah, that icon. My students were 2 to 4 years.
I know. It's brutal.
That
It's absolutely brutal when you hear when I teach students and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I know." It's
that is
it's upsetting.
humbling.
I know.
Oh god.
Nothing makes you feel older than teaching students.
Yeah, and I'm not even necessarily one of those people that feels old, but like when I hear stuff like that, I'm like 2 to 4. Damn, I was like,
Task is finished.
I know.
yeah, like 15 or something.
Yeah, it's best not to think about it.
Yeah.
It's
No, I cannot.
oh, okay. Insufficient.
again.
Oh, okay.
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 Yeah, I get that, but also why is it there? And also, I'm a rogue. I should just be able to break into this. Are
I
you
haven't
kidding?
upgraded my lock
Oh,
picking skill
God.
yet. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my god, I'm going around in circles. How? Oh, we're gonna pick up some lore. Yes, codex.
Yeah.
Okay, does that? Wait. Let me try and remember the buttons.
Hey, you got that like on first.
Okay,
Let's go.
codex. Ah. And that's also, I'm pointing at the screen as if people can see. But this is another thing, which is a very easy thing you can do in a game. I think to keep the narrative more interesting, to keep it diegetic, to keep it kind of is, so you have, it's not exactly revolutionary, you have your codex, but, a lot of people have very varying opinions of codexes. But everything in the codex is from a named source. So you have, under culture and history, you have high ever. And then at the very end, it goes blah, 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 blah. And then from Ferelden, Folklore and History by Sister Patrine, a Chantry scholar. And that is, the fact that in the culture and history, and I think in the magic and religion section, unless I am misremembering. No, this one as well. Yeah. I think all the ones in those two areas of the codex are named.
Oh,
they're named
cool.
and they're from a particular source, which again, I think first of all, it makes it, people may still not enjoy reading a codex. It's a very personal thing. But I forgot that I'm streaming, and when you go on a menu, it likes to occasionally just kind of forget what it's doing. And it will get better, hopefully. But yeah, so having these name source, it immediately gives it, well, first of all, from a writing perspective, it's a lot more fun because you get to write in different voices.
Oh yeah.
Rather than just writing, you're still writing lots and lots of, lore and all this stuff, but it means you get to have a bit more fun. You get to have different voices involved. It also tells you more about the world because you're not just getting the information. It's who's telling you that information, potentially why. And so all of that informs it as much as the actual information itself. Which is, I'm a big, again, there's no right or wrong way to do any of this stuff, but I'm a big fan of anything that keeps it as diegetic as possible. That's my thing. And where is this kitchen?
Is it like maybe in the middle, like middle and like to the north?
Okay, where would I put a kitchen? Okay, so this is where I was before. Okay. Oh, we should probably say, so if you are just joining us, there we go. Okay. So I need to head in that direction. Okay. If you are just joining us, this is Stream for ROMchip, which is a game history channel, and we are raising money to keep. So anybody who has spent more than 10 minutes with me knows that one of my biggest pet peeves is academic publishing and how it works. But ROMchip is how it should always be worked because it's open access. It has a combination of academics and practitioners writing and journalists, which is brilliant. But to do that, it needs to raise funds. So that's what we're doing here now. And if you donate, I think it's $20 or more, you get entered into a raffle to win a book. And this is this book for this particular part, which I have a little essay in, but there are other essays. Don't worry, there are other essays in there. It's a really good book, Playing Place. It's really interesting. It's got a really good combination of academics and designers and artists, and it's the kind of interdisciplinary stuff that is really fun. Okay, we've made it. But I'm Holly Nielsen. I'm a historian and game dev and writer. And this is, do you want to introduce yourself, Shay?
I'm Shay Thompson. I'm a presenter, broadcaster, and host. I just talk about games.
Game person.
Yeah. Games industry personality. Derogatory.
Derogatory. Always derogatory. Sorry, he's bothering you now. Just give me my dog back.
Just get him gone.
Oh, that
I've
face.
enough to worry about with a castle full of hungry soldiers.
And I know what they were
two,
going for. They're
stop
like, all
standing
right,
there
we got to
like
make
idiots.
Hella
Get out of
Golda.
the way.
But it's just did that very literally. You know?
Yeah. Let's get those creases up.
I fear I may have.
Oh, let me just. There we go.
There we go. There's a pile of dust.
Oh, look at that mess. How did he even get in here?
Oh,
Oh,
look at my big muscular dog. Okay, unless you're a bad boy, what a smart boy you are. Yeah, let's praise the dog.
yeah,
Hurries
he's
the
not
hand
bad.
over to-
He's
No wonder he keeps
clever.
giving Nan fits.
Look at him.
It does seem like he's trying to tell you something. Wait, do you hear that?
Oh, name my dog. It's dog.
It's dog. Come on.
Okay, combat. Oh god, trying to remember. Precision. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
As you say,
I love that he was like, all right, we're being
I
attacked
shall do it.
by a bunch of rats.
It's a bunch of
They're
rats,
rats,
mate.
dude.
Do we have to get out our swords and yeah?
He's begun.
You know, some would probably the rats are probably here first. Oh, this
Can we blame
seems-
them?
Yeah, no.
See, and you're
At the start
already
of
covered
every
in rat blood.
battle, my
This game has
grandfather
so
used
much
to
blood.
Your hound must have
Like,
chased
look how
him in through
covered my
their holes.
character
Looks
is.
like he wasn't
I
raising the
would
larder
really
after
like
all.
to know like what the thought process behind that is. Like, yeah, I get it. We've just been
I've
in
seen
battle,
larger.
but
They
these
come up from the Kakara Wilds
splatter
sometimes.
stains are
But
not
seeing as
like
you've got your Mabari
consistent
well in
with
hand, I'll be on my way.
murdering a bunch of
I need to
rats.
prepare for the arrival of more
So
of the old men.
To be fair, it depends how you're murdering them.
true. Hey, I'm not a
Like-
rat murderer, so I don't know.
Speaking of my experience as a bona fide rat murderer,
You need to add that to your lower third.
yeah, I don't
Nielsen.
have enough
As
things
brave
yet. I
as
want to be
you please,
historian,
really
game
shocked
dev,
after helping
writer,
us to the road
rat
murderer.
murderer. Mhm.
That dog is ripped. Yeah, I think there is
Not
like
the
a.
large
I want to say
grey
that there is an
They'll
end
rip you to
game or like
shreds,
an
they
in-universe reason for the dogs
See,
being
now
so.
you've gone
So they're
ripped.
warhounds. So
There
they're
you
bred
go.
to be
Those
like
things are dead.
they're like so we're in Ferelden at the moment, which is the kind of I guess
England
equivalent,
yeah.
like medieval England vibes. And they're Mabari warhounds, and these people are known for loving their dogs, and everyone takes a piss out of them and says, "Oh, they smell," and
yeah,
etc. etc. But yeah, so they're warhounds, so that is why they are incredibly beefy.
So jacked.
They
I'm
are
like,
so jacked.
when I go to the gym, like this
Oh,
is
don't even start.
the
You got a
ideal
picture of-
female form that I'm going for.
The ideal female form is a Mabari warhound.
Yeah.
Here then, take these pork bits and don't say that Nan never gives you anything. Bloody dog. Thank you, my lady. Now we can get to work.
So we
That's
mentioned
right, you two,
before
quit
the
standing about.
Alistair, there's a moment where you can quote unquote harden his character, and that's something I've really loved and something I would again, I don't want to say games aren't doing this anymore because they almost definitely are. It's but it's a way of so later in the game in the narrative, there's some things that happen where depending on if you harden his character or not, it goes entirely differently. And it could even be that the difference between like your character living and dying.
Oh yeah.
And so you are making that choice. Like narratively, it is down to your character what happens there, but it's hidden.
yes,
It's hidden really well.
Rather than it being like a choice,
evening,
like
lady.
two arrows that you sort of like choose between.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
something
yeah.
that's kind of running in the background, and like I. As much as it is like kind of frustrating to box yourself into a certain path, like that's the fun. Like that's the best part. It's kind of like, oh, okay, so I did that last time, and that's what triggered these events.
Yeah.
And
it gives the character just a little bit sense of agency and growth.
Yeah.
Because it's the character is doing this thing because of this thing. And yes, it does come down to how your character reacts, but it just I don't know. It obfuscates it enough that it feels a lot more natural.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things when I played this game and the romance in it, and the romance is, potentially limited compared to like what later games would do. But, who you romance and how you romance can be the difference between your character living and dying at the end of the game. Like, it's pretty high stakes. It's not just you get a cutscene, yes, you do get a cutscene at the end, but it's not just that. It's like really tied into the narrative in a way that's really satisfying. Or at least I think so.
Don't frighten the boy, love. I speak the truth.
Oh, this is
And
my...
here's my little sister
Okay,
to
this
see me
is my
off.
brother.
Now dry your eyes, love, and wish
This
me
is
well.
I have no idea who these people are. Again, if this was City Elf, we'd be fine. But
Stay.
City Elf is
I'd like to say
dark.
farewell.
is really dark. So we decided not to do that one.
Oh my god, a tiny cat.
If it's any
Yeah.
consolation, I'm sure I'll freeze
The
in
animals
southern
are
rain and be
a high
completely
point
jealous of you up
of
here,
Dragon Age
warm and safe.
Origins. Visually, that is.
Yeah, it's like the the dwarf, the nugs, the little pink,
naked mole rats.
yeah, no,
basically.
mole ratty, rabbity, piglety type things.
Yeah.
Big fan of those.
They're so cute.
Okay, so this is the setup in this one is, okay, Duncan has come and he's here for your brother, not for
Yes,
you.
yeah.
Okay.
I wish you could come. It'll be tiring killing all those darkspawn myself.
In Antiva, a woman fighting in battle would be...
Oh, give it a rest, you bloody
Is that
pick
so?
me.
I
Oh.
always thought women were quite dangerous.
With kindness and poison only, my husband.
This from the woman who serves me my tea.
Caps have to lean round the microphone
Oh no,
to see.
we should have swapped places.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, my posture is generally quite awful, but it is particularly bad because at least I have a reason for being sat. Like,
You'd think his men were all walking backwards. Well, I'd better get underway. So many darkspawn to behead.
I was like, should I
so
wait for the
little
cutscene
time.
to finish? But
Off we go then. I'll see you
I,
soon, my
I don't
love.
care what the brother is saying. It might just get me to
I would hope, dear
Duncan.
boy, that you
Is the
plan
problem
to
with
wait
old
for us
people
before
skin that
taking your
wrinkles
leave.
or drooping skin is
Be well, my
communicated
son.
just with texture
I
changes
will
and no
pray for your
face,
safety
no
everywhere
change
you
to their
are.
face's geometry? Yeah, I imagine that there probably are like some, design complications.
Well, it's
that
a bit
mean-
like in Baldur's Gate 3, how like the lack of diversity in the body models and stuff like that is because of animation. Like you have to animate all these things.
Bring us some ale and wenches while you're at
You're going to be
Now,
limited in what you
Yeah.
can do.
So I imagine that probably adds to it. I mean, it's why like the hair and stuff doesn't move, and also like this was what 2009 when this came out,
2009, yeah.
which means they were working on it in like
A wench is a
2007,
woman
2006 or
ale in a
something.
tavern,
So
or
Sorry, I just noticed that
Or a
someone
woman
is
who
describing
drinks
to a small boy what a wench is.
no, wow.
It's like living with a pair of small boys.
There is one thing I do love about Dragon Age Origins. So you get in your kind of cast
You'll
of
take
characters,
care
your
of us,
crew that you
won't you?
hire and stuff like that. You have Wynn,
Oh,
who I love.
Yeah, one's cool.
Wynn is cool. So Wynn is an older woman who is what's her thing as well? She has it's so usually kind of mages and magic people in
I
this
want to get
world,
an
they're
early
at
night.
risk of being taken over by
Much to do
demons.
tomorrow.
But Wynn has a kind of a positive version of a demon
Oh,
that she releases, but that
yeah.
still potentially makes her really dangerous. But I really like her as a character because, well, first of all, I always like just seeing like an older woman that isn't just like a crone or something, you know, going full Witcher 3 with just like you're either this or that.
Yeah, that's it.
And so it was great having an older woman, and also that she has a backstory. She has, again, I'm like, do I spoil this game?
I know what you mean. It's hard to talk about it.
Yeah,
yeah.
in case we're gonna, encourage people to play this game. But I really like the cast of characters in this. I think, as particularly with Morrigan and stuff as well, I'm a big fan of when people aren't a fan of your character.
Yeah.
And people are just like, okay, I'm with you because circumstances thrown us together and it's the best thing for now. But
you
I don't
have
like
a
you.
nasty spirit. I don't like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, that was why in Dragon Age Inquisition, I really loved, oh my God, her name. Vivian, yes. I thought she was brilliant.
Because she hated me and like, no matter what I did or what I said,
you can't
we just didn't get along.
Yeah. And I love that you could hit on her and then she'd like laugh in your face and be like,
you never clean yourself.
Yeah.
Why would I ever?
Like,
think of
why
getting
would I be with you? And I was like, I'm gonna want more games to have that. I want more games to have the thing where, you're trying to hit on them or something, and then people are just like, ew, go away, instead of everyone falling over you.
Yeah. Like, that like keeps my personal ego in check. This is great.
Gamers need to be put down.
Yeah, actually, I'm a big advocate for that.
Those are Hal's men. Why would they attack us?
Although it is brutal that you can't romance Morrigan if you are female in this, which is...
Yeah, I always thought that was riggery. I was like, I hate that.
Yeah.
Look at that woman. That is... that is a queer woman.
Yeah, you have Liliana and Zevran are the two kind of bisexual crew that you can romance either way. And then Alistair and Morrigan are straight, so you're limited.
On purpose.
And... Yeah.
Someone said Wynn feels like a grounding presence, and I agree with that.
Yes, yeah. I also like that when you do romance someone, Wynn has a conversation with you where she's like, "Is this a good idea?
Yeah,
like, is
like
this
right now?
Like seriously? Like, I know things are really emotional and things, there's a lot going on, but is this a good idea?" And eventually, she does come around if you decide to stay with your romantic partner. But she does make a good point.
She does make a good point. And it was like the first time that like kind of doing an in-game romance. It was the first time that I actually like stopped to think. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm just kind of doing this for me. But like in the context of the story, this probably does feel really absurd.
Is this a good idea?
Is this a good idea? And then I swung so far to the other side where I was like, you know what? I'm a lover girl. I love love. I'm just like, if you can find love in like terrible times, then you go for it.
I mean,
like, yeah.
you're basically saying what Alistair says to you. I can remember a worrying amount because I did, as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I would save before every big conversation when I first played this, and I would physically write, I would go through all the different dialogue branches and write them all down. So I remember a worrying amount of, particularly the Alistair romance dialogue, I'm not going to lie. And there was a bit where he's like, oh, it's a, you know, you're like, he gives you a flower as like his thing. And he's like, oh, you know, it's so rare to see something like bloom that's so lovely in this, in the midst of all this horror. And that's, what can I say? What can I say? Which is strange because ever since Alistair, I would say I've always gone for the sassy rogue character.
Mm-hmm. The Zevrans of the world.
And I do go for Zevran until they get to the point where they make me choose.
Yeah. So I'm just like, come on. I mean, you know, we're out here, we're doing our own thing, like a rogue gang. Like, can we not just be a throuple?
Yeah,
Really?
why do we have to label this in this way?
They must already control the castle. We must use the servants entering the larder to escape. Do you hear me?
Also, like her mum being like all armored up. I was like, I'm very pleased about this, actually.
Yeah, her mum knows what's...
She isn't just going to wait to be saved. I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, your mum is your companion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting out of here.
I love that combo, honestly. She brings up a really good point, talking about when. Like, during that kind of...
yeah.
Like, that's a good idea. You're really doing this right now?
Yeah, I like anything that kind of pushes... gives you a little bit of friction and pushes back on your character a bit. That at least, you know... you maybe have to justify a bit, or you're really being questioned of like, is this the best thing? Anything that's like that I really enjoy, because if people just go along and think you are God's gift to Earth immediately, it's like, it's less fun. That's kind of one of the things, and I love Dragon Age Inquisition, but I was at the very beginning of that game, there's you have that really interesting dynamic where you're the Inquisitor because of all this, you know, wild magic stuff that happens and all of that. But the people on your council do not trust you.
No.
And they are very suspicious of you and of how you came there and why you're there and all of that. And I thought that was such an interesting dynamic. And then they kind of go like, okay, and now everyone likes you.
Yeah.
Which I get why, because you need to, you know, there's only so much you can do and you've got to, you know, give progression and stuff like that. But I really like that dynamic.
Especially if you play like as an elf. And then the way that I was playing my Inquisitor is, I was like, I'm an elf. Like, I actually don't want this. I don't believe that I'm the Herald of Andraste. Like, I don't think I'm, you know, this kind of ordained spirit to do this.
Yeah, like I do not believe in this.
Yeah, and so the conversations that would come out as a result of that were really interesting. Like you said, it's not something that sticks around for very long, because eventually everyone's just like, well, we can't be bothered
you know,
to do it, so you do it.
That's always the thing, I guess, when you have anything that's anything where your character is the person, like, or if it's a really big world-ending thing, or you know, anything like that. The bigger the stakes are, the harder it is maybe to get room for negotiation and that. Which is one of the reasons why I really like Dragon Age 2.
Me too.
And I know you love Dragon Age 2. And Dragon Age 2, I think there's a bit of a renaissance happening of people being like, you know what, Dragon Age 2.
Yeah. But they weren't there at the beginning. I'm like,
you didn't go through.
Yeah, you didn't do all the things that I had done. When I said I liked that game,
you two are unharmed.
they wanted to run me out of the town.
But they won't keep
I went through
Hellsmen
so
out
much
long.
if
you've another way out
to
of the
turn
castle,
around
use it
10 years later
and say you were right.
I was like, all right, yeah, I'll take this. But...
I mean, yes, I am right, but
when I last saw the
because it's just
wounded.
it's such a
I urged him not
it's
to go.
imperfectly perfect little story
He went
told.
towards the kitchen.
You know, like in this very specific setting.
You
have the backdrop of all of the stuff that Origin sets up, which is great. But then like realizing your ascent to power like actually isn't just this great, you know, power fantasy that was, you know, good for everybody. It was like, actually this had really, really disastrous results. And you know what? I'm gonna say something. I don't think it was entirely Hawke's fault. Anders doing what he did.
Oh, Anders is just he's gone wild.
That's not my fault.
Yeah.
That was his.
That's it. Yeah, because I always liked. I mean, Dragon Age 2 has the setup of an unreliable narrator, so the whole thing is being told via Varric telling the story, which is a great device because it means
So
you
good.
get to jump time.
Yep.
It means you have again unreliable information. I love an unreliable narrator. I think that's always fun, and anything that allows you being able to, even though I know, oh god, my character is wanting to go all over the place. Yeah, anything that, I mean, yes, there were some repeated environments in that game. Yes, you maybe were in the same
But hey,
room.
it's Varric just telling us,
Yeah,
he's trying to
he
get
doesn't
through the
have
story.
time.
He's like, all of the fighting, that shit wasn't
Yeah.
important. He's going, you know, for
It's
stuff
like,
that matters.
yeah, and this room looked the same as every other room, as things were at the time. I've got too many people. I can't get through this door. There we go. But I love anything that is set in maybe a smaller geographical location, but you see it kind of temporally. You see it over time develop. I love that. I think that's such an interesting. Again, it is done imperfectly, but I find it the most interesting.
Yeah.
Dragon Age Origins is my favorite because I have that, you know, that really strong nostalgia to it, and you know, and I've mentioned all these things that I like that it sets up, and I think it does history well, and yada yada yada. But Dragon Age 2 is a bold swing, and I love it for that.
I really, and you know what? When you think about the context in which that game was made, like they were given such a little amount of time.
Yeah, just
so much pressure.
What they managed to do with that is always impressive. And I love the conversations that in Dragon Age 2 between like Isabella and things like that, I think are really interesting. And I'm trying to remember. So in Dragon Age Origins, I think she was DLC, but Shale.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I always really like the stuff with that. Her stuff was really good. And Ogren, who's like the classic drunken dwarf, but then you find out it's because he's like bitter and slightly messed up because he couldn't deal with his wife's like ascension to like becoming a really big figure, and
then you learn like more about the kind of dwarven culture and why he feels the way that he does.
Yeah,
kind of like, oh man, because like initially I was just kind of like, oh, this oaf. Like, get him away, just so unchic.
Who is
don't care about anything he has to say. But yeah, it was going to like the Orzammar and kind of learning some more about like their culture and stuff. That was really cool.
And he's still an arsehole.
He's still an arsehole.
Yeah, but
like,
you get a bit of context. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Wait, is this my dad? I can't remember.
I think that is your dad.
Okay, that's my dad. Oh no. Oh dear.
Yeah.
You both are.
Oh dear.
I was
Bryce.
wondering when you would get here.
Oh, in terms of the donations, I think we're on. Want a fun number?
Found me.
4004.
We are on 4004.
Did me in right
Someone
there.
broke the funny number. What was the funny number?
Oh, I think there was a 0.69 pence given at some point. If it's a funny number, it's one of two numbers on the internet.
That is true.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
like
true.
I think for my dissertation at one point, before I did some edits, it was at 469 footnotes, and I was like, "That's a really disappointing combination of the two funny numbers." Like,
Get away with this. The king.
Bryce, we must get you out of here.
I won't survive the standing, I think. Oh.
I do love the idea of being like, "You'll be fine. Come
Just
on."
walk it off.
Yeah.
My guy.
Once Hal's men break through the gate, they will find us. We must go.
Someone
What time is it?
Oh god.
must reach Burgess.
It is 10
Tell
to.
him what has
Really?
I know.
Oh my god,
I
it's
was
gone
like,
so quickly.
it's gone so quick.
Oh man, and of course we haven't even got past the beginning bit, which I knew was a risk, but I wanted
Passage is right here.
basically doing this just so we could see that
Find your healing
canticle
magic.
and the opening
castle is
because it says
surrounded.
the Chantry tells us, and I'm like,
I
great,
cannot make it.
love that world
I'm afraid
building.
the turn is
We
correct.
got to that at
Hal's men
least.
have not yet
I mean, there's a
discovered this exit,
possibility
but they surround
we
the
almost
castle.
didn't. Because
Getting
Yeah.
past will be difficult.
oh yappers.
You are
I've also
Duncan, then.
forgotten
The
this
Grey
origin. I think
Yes,
is
Your
it
Lady.
all Hal
Japan and I
that like
tried to
basically
reach you sooner.
betrays you,
My daughter helped
and
me
that's
get
why
here. Make her
your
be praised.
your home has
I
been
am
like
not
overrun with
surprised.
these guys.
Yeah, there's a guy who betrayed you,
Whatever is to be
and
done
there's
now, it must be quick.
yeah,
They are
because
coming.
I always thought.
I beg you. Take my
Yeah,
wife
because
and
this
daughter
one
to
is all
safety.
related to like the
I will,
lands
Your
meet
Lordship.
and all of
Yes,
that
yeah.
stuff.
Fear I must ask for something in return.
I never. So I
What is
did when I
happening
originally
here
played. So I
pales
played
in
every
comparison to the
Origin.
evil now
The City
loosely
Elf was the one I would go
enswathed.
back to the most.
I came to your castle seeking a recruit.
Played this now. I'm like, oh, but I
Darkspawn
was watching a
threat
friend
demands
recently,
that I lead.
was streaming Dragon Age Origins to me while I was
understand.
doing some work.
You fought your way
And
to me through
I was
Howe's men.
genuinely worried
I
about
think
how
the
much
Maker's
had remained in my
intention is
head
clear.
because I dropped
I
in.
will take
She
the
was
helm
playing
and the
and she was
daughter
up to a
to
point. And I was
comfort.
like, okay, yeah. So what's
Tell
going on
Fergus
here is
and
blah
the
blah blah
king
and this
will
and that and
have
the blah. And I was just like, why do I know that? I can't
Fergus
remember
and
what I
the
had for dinner yesterday,
So long.
and this is just buried into my
the
brain.
entire script from the game.
Then
I
offer
know,
you
and
a
yeah, I'm
place
here, and I'm
within
like, is
the
that my
Grey
dad?
Wardens.
Like, what?
Fight with
Yeah,
us.
just yeah.
See, I'm like that with Dragon Age 2.
We will
I
sleep
played that
quickly.
game
Bryce,
so much.
sure?
Yeah.
So much.
Our
Because I was
daughter
like,
will not die with
Origins,
Hal's
the
treachery.
story, like, I
She will
just,
live
you know, so in
and
love
make a
with, but
mark on
I
the
found
world.
it such a slog to
Darling,
play. And I know
Mm.
people
We're
would say the
done.
same with Dragon Age 2
You have
because
a
it is
better
very
chance to
just like
escape
kind
without
of
me.
button mashing. But
Yeah.
it's at
Hush,
least, you know, I can get through that.
There's
you
a
know?
rhythm.
Yeah, yeah.
But I won't abandon
I was
you.
watching a friend of mine was playing through Dragon Age Origins
My place is with your father.
because I told them to,
Everything
and
and beyond.
and I remember they were messaging me questions. Oh, well, there we go.
Oh,
Achievement
look,
unlocked,
achievement.
bloodied.
Nice.
We had a good
You
one.
thought I would have got that when I was covered in rat
Yeah.
blood, but all right.
What are children now?
And yeah, so they were messaging me questions like,
Warn your brother.
okay, in the combat, how do? And I was like,
You know
don't
what
ask me
will
that.
not be
I don't know.
Not-
I have no idea. You're asking me. You're telling me how do you actually play this game? I have no idea. That is
I
not for me
just-
to know.
Go
my
now.
button, my
Bye,
finger on A, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to it.
Okay.
So now we're being
We
think
will be
carted off
traveling
to
south.
safety.
Yes. So now we're at the
The
point.
road
That's
runs
the opening origin
on the
bit. So
edges of
there's
the
wait, how many is there? There's two
Wilds.
dwarven ones,
The
two elven
Tevinter
ones.
Imperium
Two... Okay, so
built
there's six.
Yeah.
Empire long ago
Um,
to prevent
and then
Wales
you get to
from
this point,
invading the
and this is where
northern
everyone
lowlands. It's
Yeah.
This is
fitting
where
we
it
make our stand
coalesces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if we face a different foe within that forest. The king's forces have clashed with the Darkspawn.
Oh, I think we're just gonna not be able to make it to Alistair.
Yeah, well, I think we'll just miss it.
Just miss him.
Because it's after. I'm not going to spoil what's about to happen, but I think it happens after you meet Alistair.
Here and now.
Yeah. So you meet us. I think you pretty much your first thing you do here is go and find him. This is the king.
Yes.
This is the idiot king.
A royal welcome?
Who
beginning to worry you'd miss all the
looks
fun.
really familiar.
Yeah. Huh. Although I will say, if we miss seeing Alistair, that's maybe okay because I don't have to. Then I don't have to be reminded that he has a soul patch, which is upsetting. And I can lie to myself and say that it's muddy textures. I can say that it's the graphics. But he has a 2009 soul patch, and that is upsetting to me.
Oh my god.
It's my lady has the thinnest eyebrows known to man, and my boyfriend has a soul patch. It's
a very 2009 story.
It is a 2009 fantasy.
Had we not escaped, he would have killed us and told you any story he
This is one that I like, especially so if you play the city elf and you meet the king. And so the king knows really, he's very naive and he doesn't really know what's going on in his own kingdom, and he has all these fantasies about being a great leader and riding into battle with the Grey Wardens and all of that stuff. And you can basically be like, if you're a city elf, he says, oh, you're a city elf, you live in one of the, the alienages that are in my city, I've never been there, kind of stuff like that. And you can basically call him out on his shit and be like, yeah, no, you have, this awful thing happened and you don't know anything about what's going on. And then Duncan kind of goes, oh, moving on. And I was like, I love that the game you can immediately just be like,
yeah,
no,
screw this guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut this short, but no gain weight.
Your uncle and reminds you.
Okay, we've been told that we've got a little bit longer to play, so we may get to Soul Patch himself.
Soul Patch himself.
We can. Oh yeah. I just love him.
I'm not even sure this is a true blight.
Soul patch and all.
As painful as it is for me to admit that.
This is getting me all nostalgic. Feels like they don't write him like this anymore.
Like in the
Yeah,
a king riding with the
there's
famous
something
grey
about
horse
like this
against the
time,
tainted
and it's
god.
not just that I was young, didn't have any responsibilities.
I think that's always the thing that makes me laugh. Where
Yeah.
people are like, games were better back then, and then you get down into what it was, and it's like, no, you were.
You didn't have any responsibilities.
Yeah.
Life was sweeter then. But there is like,
What the
and
king
I was
said is
writing
true.
this like
They won
as
several
part of like a
battles
script
against
for a
the
video that I
Darkspawn.
want to get out soon. But like, there was a kind of optimism
Victory so far,
that I
Darkspawn
found studios
Horde
wrote
grows
with,
larger
like
as
even in their
day.
cutscenes
By
and
now
the
they
stories they were
look
telling,
marvelous.
like whatever it was,
I know
like
there's an archdemon
it was just
behind
people
this,
like
but I can't
writing
ask
and
the
making
king to
cool
act
stuff for the
solely
sake
on
of
my
it,
feelings.
you know? And like I don't know the politics of working in a studio. I'm
Please
sure there were
proceed
loads
with
of
the
other things at play, but I don't know. It was
No,
just
no, very straightforward, very simple.
you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just it felt very feeling felt very palpable. Like they were not throwing stuff at a wall. Obviously, there are like there are systems and processes that work and exist for a reason. But yeah, I don't know. Like there's so much in this game that, like, even if it doesn't necessarily work all the way, I'm like, yeah, I had a good time. You know.
I think the fact that your character can die at the
Yeah.
end and they're just dead. That's
Yeah.
it. I think that shows a certain level of narrative freedom in that, it's Origins. Yes, there's Dragon Age 2. Yes, but there's not a sense of, oh God, we need to keep it so that this character stays alive because this is what people want to play as and blah, blah, blah. And so I think that, and maybe it was, when I was playing this originally, it was totally mind-blowing because I had not played a game where there was romance and I actually cared about the characters and there's all this stuff going on. But okay, we have 1 minute left. Can we make it to Alistair? Okay, I'm going to avoid the mages because I think they talk to you if you get too close. There's Win! There's Win! But I'm not going to talk to you, Win. I'm sorry.
We're looking for a soul patch.
I've got a soul patch to meet.
You gotta wait.
I've got a soul patch. I think he's okay. Come on. He's close.
He might
He's
be.
close.
I think he might be.
My boy, my soul patch, my love.
What is it now?
Oh wow!
There he is, and he's got that like quiffy hair. Oh, I love him.
If you have quiffy hair and a soul patch, you are valid.
Yeah. Yes, 2009 was your peak, but
that's okay.
Never let that get in the way. It will come back in fashion
It will.
at some point. Alistair will come back in fashion.
Yes.
Look at him.
By delivering a message.
Oh, what a
Your
sweetheart.
glibness does you no credit.
Oh.
All right. Well, I think we have to.
I think we're wrapping it up.
Say goodbye, which is very sad. I had a really good time.
It was so much fun. It went very quickly, and I hope that everyone enjoyed that and that everyone is giving money. I have a very basic setup with only one screen, so I have no idea what happened on the stream.
As far as I know, it looked and sounded great, which is what we wanted. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
One more shout out for
the book. Here is the book that if you donated $20 or more, you're entered into a raffle to win this excellent book, Playing Place. And yeah,
that's everything. Thank you so much.
Hello there, Holly and Shay. Hi, you are still on with me just for a minute. Thank you. That was super fun, and your banter was extremely charming.
That's what we aim for at all times.
That's right. Just this very low-key, playful lecture about Dragon Age narrative. So, like, how much more is left of this game?
I'd say I could wrap it up in another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So glad we got to Soul Patch. That's basically the end of the narrative, is my understanding, right? All right.
Yeah.
That's the game.
It's the main goal at all times, really. It's like a countdown to Soul Patch in any video game.
Incredible. Oh, we just got an outgoing donation. Amazing. That just raised our total to $470.75. We were at 4420, which of course, we always love that. But we're now at 64% toward our tier 1 goal. Thank you so much for being a supporter of ROMchip, and really hyped for whoever winds up getting your text. Holly and Shay, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, and for folks just joining, we've got, don't leave, we've got Merritt K coming up to play Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. You don't want to miss it, and I'm going to get through this spiel real fast. But if you are joining us for the first time, I'm Lane Nooney. I'm the managing editor for ROMchip, a journal of game histories. We are an open access hybrid audience online venue for the publication of game history. What that means is that we develop, solicit, edit, and publish game history research from peer-reviewed articles to oral history transcripts to long reads, object lessons, and translations about everything from digital games, analog games, board games, sports, and play. Secondly, we have no paywall, no advertising, no logins, no predatory publishing model. We are creating a new way that scholarship can work. And last, we are hybrid audience. We are big tent. So we don't think you should need a PhD to write for or read ROMchip. This is a place where anyone who wants to have a rigorous conversation about game history can do that. We have a tier 1 funding goal. $7,000 allows us to pay for our base operating expenses. But we don't just want to hit that goal, we want to smash it. At 9K and 11K, we can pay more people to write more game history. That is the direct outcome of your donations. We are an entirely kind of fan and supporter funded journal. So, you know, it doesn't seem, we don't need a lot of money to be able to do a lot with it, right?